Good evening. My name is Deborah Watkins, aka Auntie Deb. I am a certified Christian life coach. I help career driven individuals and creatives break the cycle of starting over by overcoming self doubt, staying consistent to achieve their goals and to increase their earning potential or to transition from another one career to another, which is something that I did. I'm also the author of the book From Mediocre to Marvelous: Get Out of Your Rut and Live a Fulfilled Life. So I'm coming before you today to tell you why I became a life coach. I had a long career in the Department of Corrections. And I started off in security. I started off in security. I was a corrections officer for 2.5 years of my total 34 years that I worked for New York State Department of Corrections. And I started off, like I said, as a corrections officer, but I had no intentions of staying there when I came to the department. I had a degree, and so I wanted to transition to something else in the department eventually. And I did. In 2.5 years, I was able to switch over to a position called inmate grievance supervisor. And the inmate grievance program is an ombudsman program for the inmate population to be able to file grievances about things that they're not happy about. And from that position, I again transitioned over to become a corrections counselor, which was really a case management um, counselor. And what we did, again, was to prepare them um, for release. That was the ultimate goal in terms of the areas that they needed to work on, which was education, if they needed to work on education, counseling, if they needed to have either court ordered or just counseling on their own. We were there to guide them. So we were guidance counselors, so to speak. And then from that position, I kept getting promoted in the department. But I also held other roles in the department. I was a trainer. I trained for a number of years, and I became a master trainer for the department where I actually trained other people to be trainers. And so, with that position, I traveled a lot around New York State. And from there, I also um, held a lot of positions that were support positions. And for example, the diversity management committees. I was very active in those committees. I was very active in New York State Blacks in Criminal Justice. And so I was busy. I was busy in that career. So I eventually was promoted and and I became a deputy superintendent and the deputy superintendent over the rehabilitative part of corrections. So I gave oversight to the education department, the recreation department, the religious services, the guidance and counseling, and any of the programs that had to do with rehabilitation, vocational schools, that type of thing. And so um, I served. I served in that position for a while, and then I eventually retired. I wanted to come out. I had enough, And even though there were eyes on me to keep going and become a superintendent, but I was ready. I was ready to leave. And I do not regret it at all because when I left, then I um, was involved with a local college as an adjunct. And I was teaching as an adjunct, and then they eventually hired me to run their prison and um, college and prison program. And so I did that for a couple of years. So, but along the way, over the years, what led me to this is that individuals were always coming to me for advice. They were always coming to me if they wanted to transition. They were always coming to me if they wanted to be promoted. And they're still coming to me. I still have people call me, and I'm retired, from the department, but I still have people, checking in, calling, what should I do? Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I talk to this? And so I was already a life coach. And the fact that I have written 4 books, I've written 2 inspirational, motivational books, but I've also written 2 fiction books. So people call me all the time about, I want to write a book. I want to write a book. How do I go about writing a book? And so like I said, I was always, being a life coach. And so I thought about it because even though I retired from the workforce, so to speak, you never stop doing because you have purpose. We have purpose. And so I see my purpose now differently. I don't see it as something that I have to do, something that I have to get up every morning to do, that I have to answer to anyone to do. I see it now as me serving, not only serving others, but serving God. And and that is why I wanted. And so in my talks, right, when I was giving a series of talks about personal power, and I was talking to those who watched my videos, I talked about going back, and if you're going to do something, you want to do it with excellence. You want to do it well. You want to do it with professionalism. You want to know what you're talking about, what you're doing. And so I went back to become certified, to become a certified life coach, because I said, well, I'm already doing it, so let me get the credentials and not just be flying off the cuff, because there is a skill set to doing this. And so, but we're not therapists, right? We're not therapists, and we're not even mentors, really. But what we do is specialize. So, and my niche, again, like I said, is career-driven individuals, perhaps creatives, people who have started certain projects and they want to finish it, but they keep stopping, and it has to do with, sometimes some of us just need a little motivation, right? And so that's why I became a life coach. And so if you're one of those individuals, right, who need a little push, and you need to consult with someone, um, you can do a discovery call with me. Right? Now, I do charge as a life coach, but before I charge you as a life coach, I do a free discovery call with you, and just to give you some insight as to some of the things that we would be doing. Because at this point, it wouldn't just be us having a conversation. I would be um, guiding you and directing you to do certain um, exercises. We would be doing certain exercises, that type of thing, and steps, action steps so that you can complete, because that's my goal. I want you to complete what it is that you want to do. That's what gives us joy. That's what gives Christian life, which is joy, is when people complete, right? And I have the testimony of some people that I've coached recently, and they talked about you know how I helped them and how I got them to where they needed to be. And one young lady, she just loves what she's doing now. And um, so that's the goal. That's the goal. We don't want to just um, have a lifelong, continuous relationship with you. We want you to be complete by a certain time frame. That's why we're different from therapists. We're not therapists because with therapy that could be ongoing for years. No, I don't want you for years. I want you to do what you came to do and keep it moving on down the road, because that's what gives me joy, to see people operating in what it is that they were brought here to do. So you can go to um, the links connected to my page here, and that'll take you to my website, the Life Coach website, for a free discovery call, if that's something that you think that you need. All right. And to all of my honeybees out there, my subscribers, thank you. Share, like, comment. And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe and go back and listen to all of my talks that I've given so far, which are really a series from my book, From Mediocre to Marvelous, which I wrote actually 10 years ago. But I'm coming back to it again because God is saying it's time to resurface with that. Okay? All right. All right. Bye bye.